What is up, YouTube? It is I, HPJ here. Holy shit, you guys. It is July 23rd of 2023. 2026. Holy shit, I got the numbers wrong. Um, it is 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And I do apologize because, um, this is probably the latest I've ever done a podcast, huh? I completely forgot about a whole week worth of podcasts. I have to be very honest with you. I've been completely tired. My sleep schedule has been shit. I am trying to fix my sleep schedule, and your boy is tired. Your boy has been through this. Because I want to be very frank with you guys. I have been recording this podcast since yesterday, which was Wednesday the 22nd, and didn't get a chance to because I fell asleep halfway through recording this. So I just decided take myself some sleep, get up, brush your teeth, get you some clothes on, and just start a new day. Actually, I do need to take a shower, which also kind of hinders if I want to go out to do my laundry. I might do my laundry tomorrow. It's not that big of a bag, but it will be because I have to wash another set of comforters and sheets. But that's for a whole different reason, which is I was just lazy enough not to wash them. I had forgot completely that was supposed to go wash them, and I was like, shit. And the last time I went washing, I was like, fuck, I was supposed to go wash these, and I was like, well, you'll wash them another time. So, no, you need to wash them. So maybe I might wash them today. I'm not sure, but it's definitely been a lot of stuff going on. That's probably why I haven't been really reluctant on uploading this podcast, because my personal life has definitely been a shit show. And after recent events, I kind of just feel like I've been excluded again, pushed to the side, with very little to no real communication. So I guess I take it as it is, but there's a reason why I'm starting off with what was going on instead of just going through like the plethora of other things that have been posted and stuff like that. So basically, let me just go through the ringer. So I swear to God, I bring this person's name up, and every time I bring this person's name up, it's just like one thing after another. Mike Mustachio, who, for those who don't know, well, as far as I know, to really give a shit at this point, me and him have not been friends in over the last 7 years. Me and Mike had a very nasty fallout back in 2019. A picture came up via Facebook a while back that still was basically a screenshot of him saying things on my Facebook wall that I guess was basically the end of our friendship. Our friendship, from what I remember, was very much one-sided. And I take accountability for the things that I did in the friendship, which is basically, I thought we were friends. We really weren't. It should have been strictly just go get your hair cut, and then that's about it. Strictly kept it business. I just also want to say that was kind of just like too many red flags where red flags needed to be done, because it was like, you're really involving someone who really doesn't give a shit about you, dude. And it was just like, yeah, you're right. And it took me years later to realize it, because even then at that point I was like, I really just did not see the red flags. And I basically just went on a whole tirade on Instagram, and was like, you know what? Tell the truth or be shamed by the devil. And I just started to say, well, fuck it. Where's the devil? Because I know I'm being shamed. And, you know, it's been very quiet from a large portion of people that normally would have said something. And I'm like, well, either they don't want to be involved or they don't want to be associated with the drama. Which, I mean, to be very fair, Michael was always drama. Just people just didn't want to say nothing about it because they didn't want to be put in the middle of it. Which, okay, fine. But you're also being put in the middle of it because you enabled a lot of his actions. Not just towards me, but towards other people. Because eventually what he did to me was stuff he was doing to other people as well. It was just that instead of just dealing with the situation at hand, he took advantage of someone took advantage of him. It wasn't me. I posted something. He said it was a retweet of whatever I posted, and it really wasn't. Then turned around and tried to spin it on me like it was my fault. And I was like, okay, well, fine. If it's my fault, it's my fault. I don't like you anyway. Which, no, I didn't say that. But it was just like, if it really is my fault and you felt some type of way, why you just didn't come and say it to me? And instead, in DMs, he got mad because I called out his friends for their participation in it. Not all of them, because most of them ended up blocking me, which at that point showed me exactly who they were. And I said, you know what? I see it now. I see where things stand. I'm glad I got out of that situation. I'm actually quite glad that things were exposed the way they were. And I'm also glad that I was able to stand up for myself and really just deal with... No, I didn't really deal with it how I should have dealt with it. And I do still take blame for it in one way or another, because the post was never about him. I think he just wanted a catalyst to say, this is why I can't stand you, this is why people told me to stay away from you. I mean, this is why people told me to stay away from you. You know, this is the reason why people said, you know, we don't trust Mike. Because the same people that were telling you don't trust me were the same people that told me don't trust you. So then it was a whole bunch of like ups and downs, back and forth. And then at that point, I had stopped speaking to him. Because the real incident itself is something that I think a lot of people don't understand. Just because you post something on social media doesn't make it about everybody around you. And then when people instigate the situation, those are the ones that needed to be addressed. Not the person who posted it, because you have an issue of them posting things. And I think it was always the issue of whatever I said or posted made other people uncomfortable. And if it made you uncomfortable, that seems like it's a personal problem and not mine. Because what would me posting anything have to do with how you felt about the situations going on? So at that point in time, you know, I guess I blamed myself in not realizing that there was no need to blame myself. It was too many people also telling me that I shouldn't be blaming myself, because this is typical Michael behavior. So at that point I said, okay, well, after the last time we were in the same area for the same event, which was a Yu-Gi-Oh event in Sacramento, I was basically alright, it is just what it is. I think the last bit of conversation we had was back maybe like 2021, where his grandfather had got sick from COVID, or they thought he was potentially sick from COVID, and I had just wished him well in the recovery, and that was it. After that, that was pretty much it. And then there was a conversation about going to his going away party, because he moved from the Bay Area to, what was it? He was moving from the Bay Area to go into LA. And I was like, okay, well, I was invited, in quotes, and then not really invited. It was a weird situation. But I think at that point, that kind of also said it for me there. Was like, if he's not directly inviting you, it's no need for you to go. And then the person who was going to take me was like, yeah, I'm not going myself. So I think it's probably a good thing. And then I did message him, was like, hey, look, this is just what it is. I did see stuff on Instagram about it through other people who did go, and it just didn't look like it was my cup of tea anyway. So, hey, shout outs to me dodging bullets. And then when his father passed, you know, the kindness of my heart was like, hey, I'm sorry about your dad's loss, dude. About your loss, you guys, and, you know, wish, you know, my condolences and everything. And still didn't hear back. So I guess at that point, that kind of just shows you, like, you're just still barking up a tree that should never just, you should just go ahead and leave alone. So I did. I walked away from the situation. I was just like, it is just what it is. So I guess really what it was me confronting the demons that were still around about the whole situation of, why do I put myself in these situations where the people who have never really been my friend, why am I giving them so much energy and so much leeway? Where any other time I'd have cut people off, I'd have been silent, or I'd have just silently walked away. And I think at a point where you gotta just let stuff go. And I think that was the hardest thing for me, was just letting stuff go. So I think once the dust settled, the smoke cleared, and you wake up and you smell the reality of what it is. I think at that point I was just like, you know what? The dust has settled. When do I get to speak on it? And I remember my friend was telling me, you can speak on it. No one's going to tell you you can't speak on it. You're just choosing not to speak on it because you're still feeling like you have to live up to these expectations of things that you don't have to. And it's true, I did. And I'm just like, you know what, you're right, I don't have to. So then I guess I waited for a lot of the dust to really just settle and just hit it where it hurt. It was like, this is what I was going through. This is all the stuff that was said. This is all the things that I need to address. And the one thing that I still have not put out there was DMs that were literally sent to me from him in that same process, because I think at a point, I don't understand, why am I protecting someone who never wanted to protect me? So I'm basically still like in the process of healing from this situation of its own, and really just trying to figure out, okay, well, if this is exactly what you want, then you need to fully address it. You need to fully understand where these these problems are really coming from. And I think it was just me trying to feel like I was accepted in a group of people who never were going to truly accept me for just being myself. I didn't want to be the token. I didn't want to be the statistic. I didn't want to fit the quota of, this is my friend because I need someone to fill in the quota for whatever quota of things there was. Because when you're not invited to the group parties, and then the only party you're invited to, you just can't get to, it's like, I also should have realized that at that time when I called and I was going through an episode where it just felt like you were just really just ignoring me for the whole situation. I was like, you know what? It is okay. It's years of things that have been bottled up inside, and I just haven't been able to really express them. And I think because I have been so lagging on the things that were said, I never really sat down to say, are these things really true? Are these things really who you are? Do you really believe that these are the things that you are because other people said them? And just because other people say them doesn't mean that it makes it true. It just means that you as a person are different from other people, and it's okay to be different. I didn't run around shoving things in people's faces like he did. I didn't go around pretending I was everybody's friend, because, sorry, I can't be everybody's friend. And I'm learning that, and I understand that now. And like I told people, I don't wish him any ill will. I'm just saying my piece and I'm moving forward. And we can be done with it. So it was very hard for me to record this session, because when I do talk about things in my podcast, I try to be vague, but then I also try not to be so explosive with, other people's information and stuff. But at a point in time, I'm just like, you decided to make this podcast because you wanted to be expressive. So be expressive and talk about the things that are going on. Talk about the things that you have to deal with. Talk about the things that have bothered you and that you have kept bottled up. And that's exactly what I'm doing. So if it makes me the bad guy, if it makes me look like the hater, the instigator, the whatever it is, then so be it. But at least I know that I told my truth and I stood by it. So that's initially why it took me so long to want to finally come out and talk about it, because I've been called so many things, I've been called so many names, but not have one person ever really sat there and defended me, or even said, yeah, he was really fucked up for what he said. And then it was just like, okay, but I want you to say it. And then it was like, ooh. It was like, it shouldn't be ooh. It should be like, no, you're right, friend, I should be defending you, I should be saying something. And I don't care if it's being said behind my back, I want it to be said to my face, rather than being told, oh, this was just this situation. It's like, no, it's not a this situation. I want it to be told to my face, and I want people to tell me to my face what's really going on. Not hiding behind social media just to say it. If you had an issue with me being around you, why didn't you just say it? And then we could say, okay, well, if we can't be friends, I'm fine with it. And I could have easily walked away. But I think, like I said, we were both in situations where we just did not know how. I was in a situation. I'm not speaking for him. I'm only speaking for myself. I was in a situation where I felt like I was friends with someone who just did not want to be my friend, and instead of taking the hint, I just continued to join in the madness and really not understand that. Yeah, no, this was not my friend. He was never going to be my friend. And it's okay to say that people are not going to be your friends and walk away from those situations. And damn, I wish I had this knowledge years ago, but you live and you learn, right? You live and you learn. So that's exactly what happened. And, like I said, if people want to be friends with Mike, they can be friends with Mike. That is on you. I have nothing to do with that. But just know that don't have a conversation about me and then realize that, damn, he kind of did to you what he did to me. Then that's egg on your face, not mine. So, are we going to be finished talking about Michael? That depends on whatever other things come up within the next couple of years, the next couple of days, the next couple of weeks, whatever. But I said all I needed. I said what I said. I stand by what I said, and I keep going. So, with that in told, and that I just spent a good almost 17 minutes talking about that. What other things have been going on? Alright, so let's kind of cut through the chase with those. Pokemon betas have now officially come out. They are talking about all the new Pokemon information that has been thought out for Gen 4. Kind of similar to Gen 3. We did get a glimpse of some of the Gen 4 stuff if you guys hadn't already seen that. But basically, there were more leaks earlier in the week about Pokemon beta stuff that was found during the Nintendo Giga Leak. Beta designs for the Generation 4 starters, beta Pokemon that were officially dropped because there was time constraints. Some situations were stopped because there weren't any Pokemon. There weren't, in quotes, room for the Pokemon during that time to allow, I guess, for the Pokemon to be included. It's very weird, but it makes somewhat sense. But it's also just like, the nerd community is going crazy with the Pokemon because they really just want to know exactly what was going around. So I'm just like, yeah, that was just like really how much a lot of stuff was just really going around at that point. So I was just like, makes sense. Like, it just makes so much sense. So, well, the Pokemon stuff is crazy. There's still more stuff being leaked for the Gen 4 leaks. Because we already had like beta designs for Arceus, the Lake Spirits. I think a pre-design of Garantina. There was some stuff about inclusions of Pokemon who were going to be brought from beta designs from Gen 2. Like how Tangrowth was a Gen 2 mon that was supposed to happen, but got moved to a later generation because of how there was literally barely any room in the Game Boy Color. The Game Boy cartridges, which is crazy because even Iwata was like, well, here's Generation 4, so we can kind of fix that, which they somewhat did with Heart Gold, Soul Silver, adding a lot of the Gen 2 evolutions into the Gen 2 Pokédex to fit those Pokemon in. Even though in their national decks, these Pokemon exist way later on. But it was nice to see Pokemon like Piloswine, Tangrowth get their Generation 2 grow up. Even more so, they added Porygon Z to Porygon 2's evolution line, making Porygon 2 a mid-evolution, and then still kind of slapping on the whole, you still need to trade this Pokemon over to evolve it. I'm so grateful that later gens for a lot of trade evolution Pokemon made those trade evolution Pokemon wild. Because I'm not sitting here trying to find somebody I like to actually sit here and evolve a Pokemon. I'm not doing that. Or to be run into the whole, here, this Pokemon, you can trade for it. And then, oh, this Pokemon has an Everstone. Oopsies. Like, fuck that girl in Gen 4 at that house in Snow Point City. Because fuck you, bitch. Fuck you. And I hope the herpes is worth it. But oh yeah, there's just so many more Giga Leaks. I haven't looked at everything, but I definitely do want to take a look at it to see um, how much other stuff is. I definitely want to do a video on the Giga Leaks as well. Not really caring who's going to watch it or who cares enough to watch it, but definitely want to take a response to it. There was also some stuff for Yu-Gi-Oh going on. Comic-Con is going on right now, and they are dropping a lot of the stuff for the replacement for the tins in the next few weeks. There was also some other stuff being dropped at the Yu-Gi-Oh event as well that I haven't heard much of, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's just stuff for like um, Bond of the Brave, the next core set for TCG. There, I know Worlds is going to be in September because it was in September last year, and they always change the time of date for Worlds, so that doesn't surprise me. Um, the OCG, I think, is getting ready for their classic art collection. There was some other side set as well. And then, of course, the triple deck building set stuff is being announced there too. If I'm not mistaken, I think the triple deck building set for Glorious Visitors for the OCG is going to be coming out sometime in October. And then we're going to get our Glorious Victors probably sometime around December or January. Most likely December, if the latest. If it's always about maybe 2 months or so prior to the OCG's initial release, then it's most likely December. If not, January to start off the new year. But we haven't had a deck building set in the TCG in a while. I think Phantom Revengers, and that was literally at the end of the year. So yeah, it's gonna be another year till we have a deck building set. I guess because I don't know what Konami's plans are with Yu-Gi-Oh. It's been so hellish, and now with the 30th anniversary coming up, it looks like it's just gonna be a shit show. And I can't wait to see how much of a shit show it's really going to be. Because, damn, this man passed away about 4 years ago. And y'all treating his legacy like a fucking shit show. And it's just sad to watch. But it's like, hey, it happens. Um, Puzzle and Dragons players, your updates for your game is already up. There's some discourse in the Puzzle and Dragons community, especially coming from the the JP audience, the Japanese audience. Oh, they are not happy with Gung Ho. They basically were going through it with Gung Ho's most recent stuff with Madoka Magica, how that was a shit show. The June Brides was a shit show. How JP is getting all this stuff, but it's very lackluster and very underwhelming, and it's caused a lot of people to step away from Puzzle and Dragons. It's not too different from the NA server, because a lot of the NA stuff, you see a lot of people who started off doing a lot of content for Puzzle and Dragons, and you're asking, well, where are they now? They're like either playing a whole nother game, or they just stopped playing Puzzle and Dragons entirely, and we're just like, I invested enough into this, I'm kind of just done. There was a picture on Reddit from the Puzzle and Dragons group of 3 of the big content creators for Puzzle and Dragons. Mantastic, Fantastic. I forget who the other 2 guys are, but they were all at, I think they were at Mantastic Fantastic house, and they had took a group photo, and it was like, oh, look at all of them. It was like, I stopped following Mantastic Fantastic for about maybe 4 years now, because I remember the last time I had remember the last bit of content I remember was just a mid-level stream for some stuff that was for a whole nother game, and then people were like, oh, Puzzle and Dragons is really just like not doing it for people. It's like, yeah, like, where have you guys been? So it was like the same thing with Lumio, the same thing was said with Gamiel. A lot of people were just like, it's like the Puzzle and Dragons hype is just dead. Like, Gung Ho really did just, like, kill their own product. Like, the only reason why most people stay is because it's still a gotcha. And it's like, but the promises of certain collabs coming is kind of just withering down, because it's like, okay, well, you can't keep up with the promises. You know, why are we still here? It's kind of like, yeah, it's kind of true. Like, why are we still here? No, the promises. Can't always keep making promises. And then keeping up with those promises. If you understand where that list is coming from, you're a true millennial. So, yeah, I was just like, okay, well, kind of see why I backed away from most of the content as well of making Puzzle Dragons content, because that shit was just like, why am I here? Like, for real. So at that point, I was just like, I understand why a lot of them stepped away, and why a lot of them decided I have other things that I'd rather put the effort into or put energy into, and maybe just even contribute with my own life. But I have no ill will towards any of the Puzzle and Dragons content creators. I just was like, look, you moved on. I'm gonna do whatever I want to do on my end and just keep it like that. But still wishing you the best. Always wishing you the best. Then it was like some other stuff that was going on as well with like the NA server stuff. It was like people were just like, damn, this is kind of why a lot of people jumped from NA to JP. It's like there's more collabs, there's more events, but then when it's lackluster, it's kind of just like, damn. Yeah. So that was like a big wave of things that was talked about. And then as far as the updates and stuff go, we're just receiving about 3 to 4 new Ordeal evolutions. There's the expansion for the exploration missions for Puzzle and Dragons, where you send about a group of 10 to 12 characters. I think it's 10 characters into these areas, and you wait a couple of hours or so. I think the most has now been a day, and you wait for the exploration, and then when you come back, you check the results and you see what stuff you received. I have now hit exploration level 10. I think the highest now is about 100. I'm not sure, don't quote me on that, because it's still fairly new and there's still a lot of stuff still being explored. But the higher up you get in exploration level rank, the more items start dropping and the more dungeons start opening up. So there hasn't really been too much talk about all the other areas, because the next two areas are the desert and then the tower. And I think the tower is probably going to have a lot of the stuff that would probably come from like arena dungeons and stuff. The desert is probably going to have all the major light cards, and trying to see exactly what they're going to have for the mechanic in it, because the other ones have like the most basic mechanics from different areas of the game, but then amplify them the higher the dungeon levels go. So it definitely just depends on how well that is. Detective Conan, or as we know, Case Closed here in America, the rerun of that collab is coming up, I believe, next week. So you only have a small amount of time to get ready for it. It seems very lackluster to me, because there really isn't anything from that collab that I'm looking forward to, nor have an interest in. So that kind of makes sense there. Also, remember that there is a possibility of Madoka Magica coming. I don't really know how much of a high possibility that is, but if Madoka Magica comes, I am very excited for Madoka Magica to come. But also at the same time, I'm kind of just like, I hope it comes, but I hope it has like some stability to it, because after what JP told us and what we've seen from JP, you guys might have to keep that. I have to say, no, you guys can keep that. But I really just want it because I want the light and dark. I want the duo pair, Madoka and Homura. But I heard it's going to cost like 200 magic stones worth of exchange. And I'm just like, well, shit. They're coming from a Godfest. I mean, how much more do you want to exchange when there's literally the only way to exchange is that there's only, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's about maybe 15 units. 5 to 6 of those units are coming from the dungeon itself, while the rest of them are exchanges, and then most of them are, Homura, Madoka, Mami, Sayuka, and Kyoko. So that's just the 5 main girls. Bebe, which is 6, and I think Bebe is going to be part of the dungeon, and then you're going to need Bebe to get the full awakening, because all the girls are transformation except for the duo pair of Madoka and Homura. Ultimate Madoka, Ultimate Homura. So then you're questioning at that point, well, shit, what else do we fucking need from this collaboration? And then you put in the Godfest role, so it's just like, yeah, I can see why JP is angry. So, and then that was a shit show of a live stream, if anything, because I do want to also talk about the live stream for a bit, is that the live stream for Puzzles and Dragons in the JP from Japan was just hilariously sad, and how many people were talking about how bad the people were for playing it. It's like there are combos people were missing. They were like, "You guys are really not living up to what we expected from this whole situation. Like, you guys need to step it up." It was just a whole bunch of stuff being said, and through translation too, because that shit was funny. From there, at that point, um, it was definitely just a lot going in that situation. So I kind of get where they're coming from, but also it was just like, yeah, like, yeah, we get it. So, is there any additional stuff for Puzzles and Dragons? No, not really, because I wanted to do some stuff in terms of talking about, like, current teams that I'm running. So, I'll probably do that on its own time. But, like I said, no harm, no foul, no rush with that situation. If there's anything else, looking into the line and looking out through it, I'm trying to remember that too. No, really not much. Pokemon is doing okay. The next Pokemon Pocket TCG stuff is now coming soon for a lot of the. I think it's like some new stuff for like newer artworks coming. It's like, okay, cool. And then that was pretty much about it. Like, you know. Yeah, it's just like a wave of stuff. It's just like small things. Then trying to remember what like other stuff was there. Not really much in terms of Puzzles and Dragons. And then Digimon, I really don't give two flips about it. It's just gonna be Digimon. I did see a couple of other things that were being released. Video game wise, not really too much of a big thing. So I was just like, oh, okay. Well, it's coded. So, yeah. Alright. That's kind of where it stands. Outside of that, really, I don't really have much of a major wave of things to really include or really just track through it, because that was a thing. So, yeah. Give me 1 second, because I want to stop the recording so that the recording can refresh for the next wave of stuff. Alright, and now we're on the second half of going through this stuff. Shoot, what am I about to talk about? Oh, yes. So, there is, what was it? Oh, there was some more stuff talked about, that I wanted to talk about. The charity room. The charity room stuff is coming up. They just posted on the charity room page of who's going to be at the event. It's about a good handful of people. Some of you guys may know them more than you know me, and that's perfectly fine. But the ideal of anything, if you see these types of videos, is please go support, and if you can, donate. If you can't donate, that's perfectly fine. There's other ways you can definitely help out by spreading the word about the charity room event, and then going to like other people and asking them, hey, if you have extra cash, go ahead and donate. It really will help other people, and really just, help with benefiting other people's, situations that are going on, if anything. I don't know which charity they're donating to this year, but I believe it's the 10th anniversary of the charity room. Because they started off as find the charity room. And then it went from finding the charity room to basically everything else that is attached to the charity room, which is really cool. So the charity room consists of FTCR, BSC, Super Gaming Brothers, um, the Crub, and all their friends, basically. So if you've ever followed Some Call Me Johnny, then 95% of that is basically all the people that will be associated with the charity room. So the lineup for the charity room, for the members for the charity room this year are going to be Johnny, Elliot, Sabrina, Stefan, Steven, Spider Knife, Ted, Makono's fan, Chris, and then the Golden Bolt. So it's a handful of people, basically branching from each of the groups into one. Location where they're going to meet, unknown. What time are they starting? Probably Eastern Standard Time, because all of them are basically East Coast. From what the video itself was that they're going to be playing a lot of in-person games, a lot of two-player stuff. They're going to play a round of Mario Party. They're going to play some Magic the Gathering. They're going to play Commander. They're going to play Family Feud. They're going to play Sonic Adventure 2. They're going to play Sonic 3. They're going to play a lot of just games for charity. And they're going to raise a whole bunch of the money and everything. And congratulations to everyone who, for a lot of stuff they've been going through this year, it is sad to say that a lot of others who probably wanted to join couldn't, just due to obligations that, we understand. A lot of things have to come first, so it makes sense. So eventually and hopefully next year, when they do another charity room event, or when they have the time to do it, we can get another branch of people. But it's so hard because everyone is so busy, and everyone is just, has a lot of things going on. So it's perfectly understandable that some people couldn't make it, or some people have to redo a schedule, or set up their stuff for a different schedule. And, it's understandable. So, especially because this is like the end of July. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff at the end of July going on. So it makes perfect sense of why a lot of people ended up not being able to join in this year. So it makes sense. It's understandable. But yeah, it's gonna still be fun. I think it's just a lot more people. Probably will be like in the chat rooms, or they'll probably be in the chat with supporting the technical stuff for the stream. So that's good to know. I mean, plus there's gonna be all of them. They all know how to stream. Like, who doesn't know how to stream? Don't raise your hand. So yeah, that's gonna be really fun to watch. The July 31st to August the 2nd. So pretty much next Friday is when they're gonna have the event. So they will be posting the stuff on YouTube prior to, but take it some time because the editing has to happen, which means Stefan is going to have a lot of stuff he has to edit out if need be. But hey, dude, like I said, it's just still going to be really cool to see all of them in one place. Any other additional things to talk about for that? I think really not any. There are a couple more things that are going to be popping up pretty soon, which I cannot wait for. I do have some more I have Yu-Gi-Oh cards that came. Yay! So a lot of my Yu-Gi-Oh card stuff did come. Where did I go down the line with that? There were my Fire King stuff. So guys, I finally got my Fire King stuff. It finally came. So yeah, that came. For those who don't know what Fire King stuff I'm talking about, basically it's just my my Equinixes are here. So now people can quit bitching about me not having Equinixes. So Equinix is here. I also have a couple of other stuff coming for Rush Duel. I had a couple of other things coming for some other decks that I'm going to be making pretty soon as well. So, yay! Those things are happening. Outside of that, really, I don't really have too many major things going on for my own personal lineup of things, but it's at least happening. So that's cool. Um, then there is going to basically be another. So how I have to reschedule my podcast now is that I'm gonna have to do them on the weekend, which means potentially you'll probably see another one before the end of that week. You'll probably see one on Monday, and then if not Monday, Tuesday. But I'm going to start moving them back to Friday so that I have the rest of the week to really focus on other things. Outside of that, that's pretty much about it in terms of like those little sections. Um, oh, I should kind of also bring this up now because we're only about a month away. Um, my birthday is coming up. I don't have major plans for my birthday because I kind of still don't have major plans for it, which is perfectly understandable. I think probably the one thing that I am going to probably ask, if any, is to say, hey, I kind of want to do a Mario Kart World session and see if people are going to be interested in it. I'll probably leave it in my Discord um, and then go from there, but that's probably about it. Like, I'm not gonna really try to do anything big. I think just that day of, I'm probably gonna have maybe some cake, some ice cream, and just go from there because that probably seems like the most legitimate shit I could possibly do. And then that's about it. So, yeah. If there are any other things, probably not too much of a big thing or big issue, because like it really isn't too much of, you know, what I expected to see or what I'm expecting to 100% fully do for those particular days. But hey, if things are gonna happen, they're gonna happen. So woo. Outside of that, really, nothing too spectacular. Um, yeah, that is really about it, huh? So, yeah, I basically got out everything I needed to get out before I possibly could. So, potentially my next updates, my next podcast, the 54th podcast will be probably either Monday or Tuesday. And then the next one after that will probably be that Friday, the 31st. So whatever I have planned for the 31st, that's probably what I'm going to have planned there. If there are any questions and stuff, you guys know how to contact me. With that said and done, guys, I am going to go ahead and make my leave. So thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to like, comment, share, of course, and subscribe to the channel because it helps me out tremendously. Most of you are probably watching this on the second channel, so thank you guys so much for supporting that. I'm probably going to send another link to my main page just so that people can, know where the podcasts are if they're looking for them. But alright guys, HPJ is signing out. Take care. Bye-bye.